Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world one book at a time.
It's great to be here.
Today, we are walking into the dark. We are tackling a book that, on the surface, might look like just another young adult dystopia, maybe a simple prequel to a huge franchise.
Right.
But when you get under the hood, it is a brutal manual on authoritarianism, on media manipulation, and really the mechanics of despair. We are looking at Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins.
A fascinating text, and I think a really necessary one. It's so easy to dismiss pop culture, especially big franchises, as just entertainment.
Sure.
But Collins is doing something so specific here. She is modeling a system's collapse, or maybe more accurately, how a system prevents collapse through extreme and ritualized violence.
Absolutely. So let's set the stage for this deep dive. Let's establish the framework. We're going to explore how authoritarian regimes use a kind of toxic cocktail of spectacle, scarcity, and psychological terror to enforce obedience.
And we're using a very specific case study for that.
We are. We're looking at the 50th Hunger Games, the infamous second quarter quell, and we're following the journey of a young Haymitch Abernathy.
And the central tension we're exploring here, it isn't just, will he survive? That's the surface plot. The real question is a concept Collins pulls directly from the philosopher David Hume, which, actually appears in the book's epigraph.
Implicit submission.
Exactly. Why do the many submit to the few? I mean, it's a timeless political question. And then, what happens when someone, just one person, refuses to play their assigned role in what is essentially the theater of state violence?
Right. And just a heads up for everyone listening, this is not a plot recap. We're not going to go blow by blow through every fight or every trap in the arena.
If you want the play-by-play, the book is right there, and it's a fantastic read.
It is. But we're here to look at the architecture of the arena, not just the blood on the floor. We're analyzing the system itself.
We aren't commentators on the games, we're analysts of the Capitol. And that matters because, I think, it exposes how modern systems, not just fictional ones, rely on mediated violence, on curated narratives, to make cruelty seem normal.
To normalize it.
Yeah. We want to look at the machinery that grinds down the individual.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with the book and the context. Most people who know the franchise, they know Haymitch as the grumpy, alcoholic mentor from the original trilogy. But here
he's 16.
He's a kid.
He's 16, he's incredibly sharp, and he's living in the Seam in District 12. And to really understand Haymitch's journey, you have to understand the specific economic pressure cooker he's in from page 1.
And the timing is just...
Oh, yeah.
It's so intentionally cruel. The book opens on the morning of the reaping, and it's his birthday.
Which is the first layer of the system's psychological warfare. It's the juxtaposition of a personal celebration, the day you were born, a day about you, with the day the state might sentence you to death.
It completely disrupts the natural order of a human life. A birthday is supposed to be about future potential, right?
Of course. And the reaping is about the termination of that potential. It's a deliberate perversion of a milestone.
He wakes up, his brother Sid wishes him a happy birthday, and his immediate thought isn't about celebration. It's basically, great, I get to sleep in before the terror starts. That internal monologue, right from the jump, it sets the tone.
It tells you this isn't a world where joy can exist uncorrupted. Joy is just a pause before the next blow.
And you mentioned the economic context. We see that scarcity weaponized right away. Haymitch mentions his shorts are made from a government-issued flour sack.
With the words, courtesy of the Capitol, literally stamped on his butt.
It's not subtle.
It's not meant to be subtle. It's branding. It marks the body as state property. But the real kicker, and the thing we really need to define for anyone who hasn't read the fine print of this universe, is the tesserae system.
Right. Let's break that down because it's fundamental to how the games work. Tesserae is essentially a gamble against your own life for food.
Correct. If you are of reaping age, so between 12 and 18, you can sign up for tesserae. And what that gets you is a meager supply of grain and oil for one person for 1 year.
But the cost?
The cost is that your name goes into the reaping ball an extra time, and you can do this for every single member of your family. It's cumulative.
So Haymitch isn't just in there once, like a merchant's kid might be.
Oh, no. Haymitch has his name entered roughly 20 times. He's feeding a family in a district where the Capitol has artificially restricted resources to keep them desperate.
So the system is designed to ensure that the people most likely to die for the Capitol's entertainment are the ones the capital has already impoverished.
It's a tax on the poor, paid in blood. It's a perfect feedback loop of oppression. The poverty they create forces you to increase your odds of being selected for their death match.
And this isn't just any Hunger Games. This is the second quarter quell. We need to talk about what that means, the double horror.
That's the specific cruelty of this event. Every 25 years, the Capitol holds a quarter quell, a sort of supersized anniversary edition of the games with a special twist, a new rule.
And the whole point is to remind the districts of their original defeat in the rebellion. It's a memory exercise.
Exactly. For the 50th anniversary, the rule is excess. It's pure psychological dominance. The Capitol decides that sending 2 tributes from each district isn't enough punishment. They demand double.
4 kids from each district. 2 boys, 2 girls. 48 children going into that arena.
It's the system just flexing its muscles. It's a statement. It's saying, we can take twice as much from you and you will still watch. You will still send them. You have no choice.
It creates this sense of overwhelming hopelessness. I mean, just look at the math.
The math is brutal. Your odds of survival in a normal year are 1 in 24. In the quell, it's 1 in 48. Statistically, any flicker of hope you might have had is literally cut in half.
Which means the mission of this novel, if we're looking at it systematically, it's not a hero's journey in the traditional sense.
Not at all. Haymitch isn't trying to save the world. He's trying to survive a machine that is explicitly designed to manufacture trauma. The narrative moves from the poverty of the seam to the luxury of the capital. And what you find is that they're both prisons.
One is a prison of lack. The other is a prison of excess and total surveillance.
And that brings us right into the core systems analysis. Let's talk about that psychological terror we mentioned his birthday.
Oh, the scene on the train.
It's
grotesque. It's one of those moments that sticks with you because it feels so profoundly invasive.
The cake scene.
Yes, the cake scene. So Haymitch has been reaped. He's been torn away from his family, from his girlfriend Lenore Dove, who is so crucial to the philosophy of the book. And he's on this luxury train to the capital. And Plutarch Heavensbee,
who we know later as this rebel mastermind, but here he's just a young, ambitious propagandist on the way up.
he orchestrates a surprise for Haymitch.
It's just fascinating and horrifying. They bring out a birthday cake with 16 candles. They sing happy birthday to him, and they film it. They have cameras right in his face.
They film it. That's the part that's so chilling. Plutarch wants to capture his reaction. Why? Why would you do that to someone you are actively sending to die?
Think about the system design. It's about timing a ritual for maximum emotional impact. You are forcing the victim to participate in his own celebration while he's marching toward his execution.
It's disorienting.
It's completely disorienting. It asserts total dominance. It says, we control your reality, we control your emotions, we can make you celebrate your own death. It's designed to break his connection to his own internal state, to make him feel like his own life isn't even his.
And Haymitch gets it.
Yeah.
He realizes it instantly. He says he feels like a plaything. The system demands gratitude even for the abuse.
It's a double bind. If he doesn't smile, he looks ungrateful on camera, which could cost him sponsors. If he does smile, he looks insane, like he's enjoying this. There's no right move.
It's the gaslighting of an entire population. Because the audience in the Capitol, they see this footage and they can tell themselves, see, we treat them well. We're civilized people. We gave the boy a cake.
It masks the butchery. It allows the viewer, the consumer of the violence, to detach from the moral reality of what's happening.
Which leads us right into our second major insight. Propaganda as reframing murder. The book is just filled with these slogans, these posters everywhere. No peace, no bread, no peacekeepers, no peace.
It's a classic binary trap. The system creates a false dichotomy. You have 2 choices. You either have the Capitol's brutal order, the peacekeepers, the games, the starvation, or you have chaos and annihilation.
They frame the peacekeepers not as an occupying army, which is what they are,
but as the only thing standing between the districts and total anarchy. It's a protection racket on a national scale.
There's a banner that calls President Snow Panem's #1peacekeeper.
Which is just Orwellian in the extreme. It redefines the very word peace to mean absolute, terrified compliance. But the most sophisticated piece of propaganda happens at the very end of the book, and we have to talk about the recap. This is where the structural analysis really, really shines.
Oh, this part just blew my mind. So, spoilers ahead for the book. Obviously, Haymitch wins. But he doesn't just win by outlasting everyone. He pulls a genuinely rebellious move.
2, actually.
Right. He discovers the edge of the arena as a force field, and he uses it to bounce a weapon back at his final opponent. But even before that, He essentially bombed the arena, didn't he?
He did. He teams up with a tribute named Ampert from District 3, the tech district. They use these explosive sunflowers, it's a whole chemical design thing with the arena, to blow up a massive water tank and flood a huge portion of the arena.
That's a direct attack on the game's infrastructure. It's
Yeah.
pure rebellion. It's not playing the game, it's breaking the board.
It's chaos. It's spitting in the game maker's eyes.
But then, after he wins, he's a victor, and he sits down to watch the official recap, the broadcast version of the games that gets sent to all the districts.
And it's gone. The bombing, erased. The rebellion, completely edited out of history. The footage they show has the water tank rupturing due to, quote, structural failure or some other incidental damage, not sabotage.
That is genuinely terrifying.
It's the ultimate expression of power. The recap manipulates reality. It edits the timeline. It makes Haymitch look like a helpless victim who just got lucky, rather than an agent of chaos who deliberately broke their machine.
So the truth of what actually happened in the arena.
It does not matter. It's irrelevant. The only thing that exists for the public, for history, is the broadcast version. The system absorbs the dissent, it sanitizes it, and it packages it as entertainment. Even the moment where he uses the force field, the weapon bouncing back, is framed in a way that minimizes his agency and makes it look like a fluke.
That connects so perfectly to something Plutarch says to Haymitch early on. There's this conversation on the train where Plutarch asks a question that seems to haunt the entire book. He just asks him, "Why do you submit?"
This is our implicit submission insight. Plutarch is looking at the raw numbers. He knows the districts vastly outnumber the capital, and he argues that it's an arrangement entered into by fear, yes, but also by opinion. He's quoting Hume without even realizing it. He says the districts have sort of agreed to their own subjugation.
And Haymitch, being Haymitch, pushes back hard. He says, it's not submission, it's the gun in the face. It's survival.
And the thing is, they're both right. But Plutarch is touching on the deep systemic implication. The system doesn't just rely on guns. It relies on the population believing that resistance is impossible. As Hume said, the governors have nothing to support them but opinion.
If that opinion shifts.
If the belief in the capital's invincibility cracks, the whole system collapses. The gun is effective, but you can't hold a gun to everyone's head 24/7. You need them to build a prison in their own minds. You need them to believe the system is permanent.
But the system has a failsafe for the individuals who don't build that prison, the ones who do resist. And that's our fourth insight, survival as complicity.
This is the real tragedy of the victor. Maisie Donner, Haymitch's ally from District 12, who, fun fact, is the aunt of Madge from the original series. She has this beautiful, defiant line. She says they have to paint their own poster.
Meaning what? Die with dignity? Make some kind of statement with their death.
Exactly. She means refusing to be just another character in the Capitol's bloody script. Don't let them use your blood for their propaganda. Die on your own terms. But the fundamental dilemma of the Hunger Games is that to survive, you must kill. You cannot be a pacifist and win the game.
And Haymitch. He wants to live, he has a family waiting, he has a girl he loves.
He does. And in the final showdown with the career tribute, Silka, he doesn't just outsmart her. He uses an axe. It's brutal. It's visceral. He survives, but the cost is that he becomes exactly what the Capitol wanted him to become. A killer. A victor.
And a victor is just a tool they get to keep in a nicer box.
That's it, exactly. He gets the victor's village. It's a golden cage. He is isolated. He is traumatized. And now he is a permanent employee of the state, forced to mentor future children to their deaths year after year. Survival did not equal freedom. By winning, he has actually become more entangled in the system than if he had died in that arena.
That is a dark, dark realization.
Yes.
Let's map this out. We love a good systems map on this show. Who are the main actors here in this machine?
Well, at the very top, you have the architect, President Snow. And he's not portrayed as a cackling villain. He views the games as necessary for order. He's terrifyingly rational about all of it.
There's that scene where he personally inspects Haymitch's token.
The flint striker. We have to talk about that. It looks like a simple piece of jewelry with a bird and a snake carved into it. But it's not an ornament. It's a tool for making fire.
Is functional.
It's functional, and Snow sees it, and he realizes immediately, power is hidden here. He fears the spark. He knows that something small and seemingly insignificant can burn down something very, very big. This characterizes Snow not just as a tyrant, but as a man obsessed with containment. He sees the potential for chaos everywhere, and he believes only his rigid control can hold it back.
Okay, so Snow is the architect. Then you have the operator, Plutarch Heavensby.
Plutarch is maybe the most complex figure in this book. He's the propagandist, the showrunner. He helps Haymitch. He gives him little tips about the arena, about the berms that are masking the mutt cages. But at the same time, he is constantly exploiting him.
He's always filming him for propos, the propaganda spots.
It's so ambiguous, isn't it? Is he helping Haymitch because he secretly wants a rebel victor? Is he planting seeds? Or is he just trying to make good TV by propping up an interesting character?
It's hard to tell.
At this stage in his life, probably both. Or maybe he's just bored with the system he serves. He represents the system's ability to absorb even its dissenters. He uses Haymitch's rebellious nature to make the show more exciting, which ultimately strengthens the show's hold on the audience. He shows us that even the people running the machine aren't always fully loyal to it. They're playing their own games within the game.
And then, of course, there's the audience, the citizens of the Capitol.
They are complicit through consumption. It's that simple. They laugh at the nickname the commentators give Haymitch, Itchy Itchy Haymitchy. They bet on these kids like they're racehorses. They provide the moral and social legitimacy for the violence just by watching it.
Without the audience, the games are just murder in the woods.
But with the audience, they become a political ritual, a national holiday.
And the system is clever because it divides the victims, too. We see this with the careers from Districts 1 and 2 versus the newcomers from the poorer districts like 12.
Classic divide and conquer. If the districts are busy fighting each other, if District 12 hates District 1 because they're teachers' pets, then they aren't united and fighting the Capitol. The careers are tragic in their own way. They've been brainwashed to believe that volunteering for the games is an honor.
They're just as much victims as the kid from the seam.
They just don't know it yet. They've bought into the system's narrative.
So what about the feedback loops? How does this horrifying system sustain itself year after year?
The most obvious one is violence reinforces compliance. There's a scene early on at the reaping in District 12. A girl named Woodbine, she just tries to run. She makes a break for it right there in the town square.
And she gets shot. Instantly.
Instantly. In the head. On live television, or, close to it. That single act proves to everyone watching that escape is impossible. It feeds the loop of fear. Everyone sees it, and any instinct they had to rebel is immediately squashed by the visceral reality of death.
And then there's the other loop.
Yeah.
Trauma reinforcing silence.
Right. The end of the book shows Haymitch descending into alcoholism. He specifically calls it nepenthe, which is a classical reference to a mythical drug used to forget sorrow. The system breaks him so thoroughly that he can't become a leader for a rebellion. Not yet, anyway. The trauma silences him for decades.
And you mentioned incentives earlier. The whole sponsor system.
It's the gamification of survival. It's brilliant in a sick way. If you play the character the Capitol wants you to play, the rascal, the beast, the tragic lover, you get gifts, you get food, medicine, weapons. If you defy them, you starve.
Or worse.
Or worse, you get poison.
Which brings us to the milk pitcher.
Oh, a chilling detail. A pitcher of fresh milk is sent to Haymitch in the arena. It looks like a gift from a sponsor. But he immediately suspects it's poison. It's a test from Snow.
A loyalty test.
It's Snow asking, will you drink the Kool-Aid? Will you submit? After all this, will you still trust a gift from us?
He doesn't drink it.
No, but the psychological weight of it, just knowing that a gift could be a trap, that's the system in a nutshell. It corrupts even the most basic act of nourishment. It forces constant paranoia.
Let's pivot to the present-day implications. Why are we, here in the real world, spending all this time talking about a book about teenagers fighting to the death? What does it tell us about our systems?
I think it's all about what we can call mediated reality. Think about that recap again, the edited version of the games. How often is the official story we see on the news edited to remove nuance, to remove dissent?
How often is protest footage framed to look like a riot?
Exactly. The book argues that the events themselves matter less than how those events are broadcast.
That's a powerful and scary idea.
It is. The audience in the Capitol cheers for the lie because it is packaged as entertainment. If it has high production value, if the lighting is good, if the music is swelling, we're conditioned to accept it as truth. We have to look at our own consumption habits. Are you watching news that informs you, or are you watching news that validates a worldview you already have and, frankly, entertains you?
It's the normalization of violence. In the book, the games are treated like the Super Bowl. They have betting odds, pre-game interviews, outrageous costumes.
And we see that pattern in our world when war footage is presented in a way that looks like a video game, when we see drone strikes from a detached, sanitized perspective, when political cruelty gets wrapped in the spectacle of a rally or a slick media campaign.
The structural pattern is, if you make it look like a show, The moral horror gets suppressed.
You stop seeing the human, you start seeing the character. The Capitol citizens don't see a 16-year-old child bleeding out on the grass. They see player 12 losing the match.
And then there's the big, uncomfortable question of systems versus individual agency. Haymitch is smart. He's strong. He's rebellious. He wins. And yet, the system still absolutely crushes him.
That is the hard pill to swallow in this book. We love our stories of individual triumph, the one hero who beats the odds. But a good systems analysis shows that individual heroism is often insufficient against a robust, self-healing systemic design.
He acts alone for the most part.
Mostly. And because he acts alone, the system can easily isolate him and punish him after the fact. Resistance, real resistance, requires collective action, which is what we see hinted at for the later books, but here we see the profound failure of the lone wolf strategy. It's a cautionary tale against thinking you can beat the system by just playing the game better than everyone else.
I want to connect this back to our channel's theme, crisis in perception. We talk a lot about how we perceive power, and how power is often hidden.
And power in this book is so often hidden in ritual and in symbols. We talked about the flint striker. Snow fears it because it's a tool disguised as an ornament. And that's a metaphor for real power, right? It's not always the obvious gun. Sometimes it's the fine print in the contract, or the algorithm that determines your feed, or the cultural tradition you never thought to question.
And the no peace propaganda campaign. That creates a profound crisis in perception for the citizens. They are literally made to believe that without the capital, the sun might not rise.
There's this incredible debate Haymitch has with his girlfriend Lenore Dove before the reaping. It's a crucial philosophical moment. He says something like, "The reaping will happen sure as the sun will rise." It's just a fact of life for him.
And she challenges him on that.
She does. She asks, why? Why is it inevitable? She's the only one who sees it clearly.
She breaks the perception of inevitability.
She's the quiet philosopher of the book. She challenges that implicit submission by questioning the laws of nature that the capital claims to control. The system wants to shape your perception of time itself. It wants you to believe that the current order is the only possible order, that the reaping is as natural and inevitable as the sunrise. Lenore is the one who points out that, no, one is physics and the other is politics, and politics can be changed.
Let's move to the conclusion. We have to talk about the tragedy of his victory. Because Haymitch does not get a happy ending. This isn't a triumphant ride into the sunset.
It's devastating. Absolute devastating. Haymitch wins, he comes home, and because he used that force field, because he made the capital look foolish by using their own barrier against them, Snow has to make an example of him.
He punishes him for winning the wrong way.
Exactly. Snow kills his family, his mother, his brother, and he kills Lenore Dove.
The book implies she's imprisoned and killed. The Nevermore reference, the Raven from Poe, it haunts him for the rest of his life. He is locked in the victor's village, which we've said is a fancy cage, and Snow essentially tells him, "You won the game, but I own the board, the pieces, and you."
There's a metaphor that comes up here involving machines. BT, the genius tribute from District 3, who we meet in the later books, but who is mentioned here, he has this insight. The arena is a machine, and machines can be broken.
And Haymitch does that. He manages to break the physical machine. He blows up the tank. He manipulates the force field.
But the political machine, the broadcast, the propaganda apparatus, it repairs itself instantly through editing.
It's self-healing.
It is, because it controls the narrative. You can break the tank, but if the camera doesn't show it, did it really happen? If the official history books don't write it down, did it ever exist? That is the terrifying resilience of authoritarian systems. They don't just control the army, they control memory itself.
That is heavy, but it's the reality of the text.
It is. The book ends with the cycle just continuing. The sun rises on another reaping. Nothing has fundamentally changed.
So what does this all mean for us? Why spend all this time dissecting this very dark story?
I think it's a provocation. The whole system Collins builds relies on the citizens believing the sun must rise on the reaping, that it is an unchangeable fact of their world. The question the book leaves you with is, what happens when we stop believing in the inevitability of the system?
What happens when we realize the machine is built by people and can be dismantled by people?
That's the thought. That's the spark that Snow is so afraid of.
And that's the thought I want to leave everyone with. The sun doesn't rise on the reaping because of gravity. It rises because people let it.
Precisely.
This deep dive was based on Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. I highly, highly recommend you read the full text. We've touched on the systems, but the internal monologues, Haymitch's voice, his anger, his grief, are incredibly nuanced and powerful.
And the interactions between the tributes, those specific human moments that the Capitol's broadcast tries to erase, they're really worth reading. The humanity is in the details, not the spectacle.
This project is free and publicly accessible. If you'd like to support the time, tools, and research behind crisis and perception, you can become a supporter on Patreon.
For a shorter visual overview of this topic, see the mini explainer linked in the description.
If you enjoy this kind of systems-level analysis, please like, subscribe, and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.